Okay, thank you. Welcome to this Cloud Week. My Cloud Week. My name is Leo Regaldi, and this week we are going to talk about the AI on Azure. This course it is focused to person who already has no some knows on artificial intelligence, some developer, but don't worry, we're going to go through about everything in this course. Okay. So once again, my name is Leo. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in the chat, and my partner will answer you every question you have. Okay. So let's start. The very first module, Introduction to AI on Azure. Okay, so the first question, what is artificial intelligence? There are many definitions, some technical, some philosophical, but in general terms, we tend to think of AI as a software that exhibits one or more human-like capabilities. These are all things that most humans do on a day-on-day basis, often subconsciously. So think about this. We make decisions using information we have available and our past experience to guide us. We can intuitively know when something isn't quite right or doesn't fit an expected pattern. We use sign, yeah, same, right? We use sight to experience the world visually. We communicate by writing, by speaking, and we are able to engage in dynamic conversation responding appropriately. We are going to take decisions with our past experience. So let's talk about the data science, machine learning, and AI. Okay, data science is a discipline that focuses on the processing and analyzing of data, applying statistical techniques to uncover and visualize relationships and patterns in the data, and defining experimental modules that help explore those patterns. For example, imagine a data scientist might gather examples of data about the population of an investment spaces of, I don't know, geographical area, and combine it with data about levels of industrialization, economic demographics in the same area. This data can then be analyzed using statistical techniques to extrapolate from the samples to understand trends and relationships between human activities and wildlife. Okay. Using modules that show the likely impact of human activity on the wildlife population. By doing so, the data scientist might help determine the optimal policies that balance the need for economic well-being for the human population with the new for conservation of the this wildlife. Okay, so then we have machine learning. Okay, machine learning is a subset of a data science. That's that's okay, no? So this machine learning will deal with the training and validation of predictive models. Typically, a data scientist prepares the data and then uses to train a module based on algorithm that exploits the relationship between the features in the data to predict values for unknown labels. For example, a data scientist might use the data they have collected to train a module that predicts the annual growth or maybe the decline in population of a species based on factors such as the number of nesting sites observed, the area, I don't know, the area of land designated as protected, the human population in the local area, this daily volume of traffic on local roads, and well, so on. So this predictive module can be used as tool to evaluate for housing, infrastructure, and industrial development in the local area and assess the likely impact on the local wildlife. And then we have the artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence usually, but well, not always, builds on machine learning to create software that emulates one or maybe more characteristic of human intelligence. For example, balancing the need for this wildlife conservation against the economic development. This will require, I don't know, maybe accurate monitoring of the population of these species being protected. It may be feasible to rely on human experts who can positively identify the animals in question or, well, monitor a large area over a sufficient period of time to get an accurate count. Indeed, the presence of human observers may deter animals and prevent their detection. In this case, a predictive module could be trained to analyze image data taken by motion-activated cameras in, I don't know, remote locations and predict whether a photograph contains a sighting of an animal. In this module, could be used in a software application that responds to the automated identification of animals to track animal sightings across a large geographical area, identifying areas with dense animal population that may be candidates for protected status. Okay, so let's talk about considerations for the responsible AI. And I wanted to show you some videos about this. So just give me a sec and I will show you right here. Give me a sec, guys. Okay. And as you can see, there is the link at the bottom of this slide. Just give me a sec and I will show you right here. Okay, give me a sec. Why it is in Spanish? Okay, okay. And here we have the responsible AI. I'm going to play this video right now, and then we are going to talk about these considerations. Okay. So let's see first this video really quick. Okay, let's click it right here, and I will turn on the closed captions because I think we don't have the audio on this chat. Just in a sec. Okay. So it is almost done, guys. Don't worry, we're going to talk about this consideration for responsible AI real soon. Okay, thank you guys. Um, so let's continue. So we are going to talk about these considerations. This is a kind of extend a long PowerPoint because we need to talk about a lot of things. Um, we need to talk about these 6 principles, but also we need to understand considerations for the artificial intelligence, but as engineers. So let's talk about these first considerations of responsible AI. So at Microsoft, this AI software development is guided by these 6 principles for this responsible AI. We have the very first one, the fairness. AI systems should treat all people fairly. Okay, for example, let's suppose you create a machine learning model to support a loan approval application for a bank. The module should make predictions of whether or not the loan should be approved without incorporation, sorry, any bias based on gender, ethnicity, or other factors that might result in an unfair advantages or disadvantages to specific groups of applicants. Okay, so Azure Machine Learning includes the capability to interpret modules and quantify the extent to which each feature of the data influences the module's prediction. This capability helps data scientists and developers identify and mitigate bias in the module. Okay? Then we have the reliability and safety. AI systems should perform reliably and safely. Well, because consider this. This another AI-based software with an autonomous vehicle or a machine learning module that diagnoses patients' symptoms and recommends prescriptions. This kind of system can result in a substantial risk to human life. This software application development must be subject to rigorous testing and deployment management processes to ensure that they work as expected before release. So then we have the privacy and security. This is so much important. A system should be secure and respect privacy. The machine learning modules on which AI systems are based rely on a large volumes of data, which may contain personal details that must be kept in private. And even after the modules are trained and the system is in production, these new modules that usually are deployed in Kubernetes or in Azure Container Instances, Docker, mm, and so on. These modules uses new data to make predictions or sometimes take actions that may be subject to privacy or security concerns. Okay, then we have the inclusiveness. These systems should empower everyone to engage people. The AI should bring benefits to all parts of society, regardless of physical ability, gender, sexual orientation, or another factor. Then we have the transparency and the accountability. The first one, transparency, this system should be understandable, and the users should be made fully aware about the purpose of this system, how it works, and what limitation may be expected. This is main thing in the bots in these chats, autonomous chats. We need to let the user know that he or she is talking about, or with a bot, with not a human person. Okay, so the accountability. The people should be accountable for this AI system. The designers and developers of AI-based solutions should work within a framework of governances and organizational principles that ensure the solution meets ethical and legal standards that are clearly defined. Okay, so these are the very first six principles for Microsoft, but we need to consider uh, some things as engineers, well, in this case, as AI engineers. The software solutions that include AI features or we need to know how to integrate these AI capabilities into our application and services. The advances made in machine learning, together with the increased availability of large volumes of data and powerful compute on which to process it and train predictive modules. So that has to lead to the availability of a prepackaged software services that encapsulates these capabilities of artificial intelligence. So software engineers, we can take these advantages of these services to create applications and agents that use the underlying of AI functionality, using them as building blocks to create intelligent solutions. So this means the software engineers, in this case us as software engineers, we can apply the existing our existing skills in programming, in testing, working with some source control systems, and packaging this application for deployment without having to become the data scientists or machine learning experts. Okay, we are going to take advantages about these APIs, these cognitive services APIs, these machine learning APIs. We are going to talk about this in the later modules. Okay, so let's continue in the second lessons. The AI on Azure. Okay, so now, we already know what is the data science. We know this machine learning. So we need to talk about the Azure machine learning. Okay, so Microsoft Azure provides us the Azure machine learning experience. This is a service, a cloud-based service for running experiments at scale to train predictive modules from data and publish the trained modules as services. The data scientists can use machine learning throughout of the entire machine learning life cycle, like ingest and prepare the data, run experiments to explore data and train predictive modules, deploy and manage trained modules as web services, and we as software engineers, we can interact with these Azure machine learnings in these following ways. We can use this machine learning to deploy these modules as REST service, and we can integrate into some a new AI applications, and we can collaborate with the data scientists to deploy models based on a common frameworks like a scikit-learn, sorry, PyTorch, TensorFlow, and this as a web services. Then we can consume them in application using you can use either the Azure Machine Learning SDKs, the, the command line scripts, or the APIs. We can use this command line, the CLI scripts, to orchestrate the DevOps processes that manage versioning, deployment, and testing the machine learning model as part of an overall application delivery solution. Okay, like any application. Okay, so we have some cognitive services. These cognitive services, the cognitive services are cloud-based services that encapsulates AI capabilities rather than a single product. You can you should think of Azure Cognitive Services as a set of individual services that you can use as building blocks to compose sophisticated, intelligent applications. These cognitive services offer a wide range of pre-built AI capabilities across multiple categories as shown in this table. Okay, we have the language, the speech, vision, and decision. So well, let's talk about these cognitive services. This how can apply these AI services? Well, uh, we have the text analytics, the Q&A answering languages, the translation. Well, the translation it is obvious. You can translate the I don't know some text from English to Spanish, Spanish to French, and so on. We have the speech recognition, the speech synthesis, the speech uh, on real time. Sorry, let me go back. Okay, the real-time translation, the speaking in another language to translate in real time, the recognition speaker who's talking. We have the vision. We can analyze this, analyze images, analyze videos. We can identify the images, classify this image, detect some objects, the facial analysis. You can analyze if a person is happy, it is anger, and it has makeup, it is I don't know, it is an artist, I don't know, maybe it is someone from any band. You can use it. We have the optical character recognition or the OCR, and we have the decision. Well, so how can I apply these AI services? Well, we can use these cognitive services to build our own AI solutions. Uh, for example, OCR, it is used to extract semantic meaning from forms, invoices, receipts, and so on. The metrics advisor, it is a service built on the anomaly detector cognitive services that simplifies the real-time monitoring and response to a critical metrics. Then we have the Azure Video Analyzer for Media. This is a comprehensive video analysis solution built on the video indexer cognitive service. Then we have the immersive reader. Well, this is a reader solution that supports people of all ages and abilities. The bot service is a cloud service for delivering conversational AI solutions or called bots. These these robots, no? Um, then we have the Azure Cognitive Search. This is a solution that uses cognitive services to extract insights from data and documents, and then we can use some key phrases to look in whole documents, in an application, in a web page, and so on. We can use it to find some important information. Okay, so let's talk about the Azure bot services. Sorry. Conversational AI builds on other AI workloads, in particular, this natural language processing, but also machine learning and potentially computer vision. In general, when people says or use this term conversational AI, they are referring to bots. These people often associate the term bot with a chat interface on a website, on WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, and I don't know, Instagram maybe. But actually, this is just a very common one way to interact with a bot. The bots can be connected with multiple channels, including email, just social media, like I said before, like Facebook, Instagram, telephone, and so on. We can use these Azure bot services to connect to the Teams, to connect to Telegram, direct line. You will experience uh, this in the next classes, in the next lessons, on the labs, and we're going to talk about this more about this later. Okay, so. Bots are used in multiple different scenarios, such as customer support. For example, this answering frequently asked questions or gathering information before handing off a human consumer or a human customer service representative. And we can use preservation. We can use like a well, the system. We can enable the users to book cinema tickets, flights, or restaurant tables, uh, like a digital assistant, for example, in a home or cell phone-based virtual assistant that can perform tasks based on instructions. We can use it like online ordering, for example, take out food for delivery or products from an online retailer, like for healthcare, providing an automated diagnosis-based symptoms. Or remember the responsibilities, but we can use it. Okay, you can use these bot services to a lot of things. So Azure Bot Services, and this service provides a platform from creating and deploying these management bots. With these Azure Bot Services, uh, as developers, we can use the SDK to develop bots and easily deploy and manage them in Azure. We have we have many ways to create these bots. We can start from scratch using the SDK, maybe using Python, using .NET, .NET, or maybe JS if you want, Node.js, or maybe you can use it from an Q&A maker. Well, this is a new service called language service. You can create these frequent asked questions and then deploy to a bot. Or if you want, you can use uh, bot service composer. This composer, it is a like an if you are work if you work before like these diagrams or algorithms, you can create the work path or the path of the conversation visually. We are going to see this in the next slides. Well, in these next lessons. So don't worry. I will show you these different ways to create these bots. Okay. Okay. So searching for information is a common requirement in many applications, from dedicated search engine websites to mobile apps that can find context-appropriate information based on where you are and what you want to accomplish. Azure Cognitive Search is an applied AI service that enables you to ingest and index data from various sources and search the index to find, filter, and sort information extracted from the source data. In addition to basic text-based indexing, Azure Cognitive Search enables you to define some code as enrichment pipeline that uses AI skills to enhance the index with insights from the source data. For example, by using this computer vision or maybe natural language processing capabilities to generate description from images, extract text from, I don't know, scanned documents. Well, we can determine the key phrases in a large documents that encapsulates their key points. Okay, guys. So we're going to see a module review. So feel free to answer in the Q&A chat if you want, or if you don't want to answer, or if you want just to answer to yourself, you are free to do it. It is not an exam, so, so don't worry. It is just a module review. So feel free to answer to yourself, okay? So the very first one, which of the following best describes the prediction made by a machine learning module? So I will give you a couple of seconds. Think about this. If you want, you can answer in the Q&A section If you don't want to answer, don't worry, you don't need to answer anything. Okay? So, which of the following best describes the prediction made by the machine learning module? Okay, let's give you a couple of seconds and let's see. The very first one, and that's correct. Probabilistic values based on correlations found in training data. Great, guys. So, the next one, a data scientist has used Azure Machine Learning to train machine learning module. How can you use the model in your application? The use Azure Machine Learning to publish the model as a web service, export the model as cognitive service, or you must build your application using the Azure Machine Learning Designer. Okay, I will give you a tip. Whoa, the right tip. It's not C. You will not create any application using machine learning designer. Remember, Azure machine learning is for creating modules, to train modules. So which one is A or B? Give you a couple of seconds here, guys, and let's see which one it is. And correct. Use Azure Machine Learning to publish the module as a web service. Great. The next one. So you want to index a collection of text documents, search them from a mobile application. Which service should you use to create the index? We already see this like 1 minute ago. So which one it is? Language Cognitive Services, Azure Cognitive Search, or Azure Bot Service? Okay, and let's take a look. And once again, correct answer is Azure Cognitive Search. Okay, guys, thank you. Okay, I'm going to give you a 5 minutes break. I'm going to give you like up to 5 to 10 minutes break if each module. So I'm going to show my timer right here. Give me a sec, guys, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes break. If you want to take a break for, I don't know, get some coffee, stretch your legs, taking a walk, talk, I don't know, get a glass of water, a glass of beer if you want, I don't know. Feel free to take this 5 minutes break, okay? 5 minutes break, guys, and we are going to continue with the next module, talking about the cognitive services. Okay, thank you, guys, and see you in 5. Okay, guys, we're back. Okay, let me tell you something. The next slides, well, the next modules, this module AI Cognitive Services, and the next one, let me, okay, okay, this one and the next one, it is kind of short-term content or on documentation, but we have a lot of laboratories in these modules. So don't worry if we have a lot of time on this because we will have a lot of time doing the laboratories in the next sessions. Okay, so let's talk about this AI cognitive services. We're going to talk about everything, and then we well, I'm going to show you like a little demos about how can use these AI services, cognitive services, how can use it in Azure, how can you publish these modules, how can use these APIs. So don't worry. First, I want to talk about everything, and then we are going to see a little demos. Okay? So let's start with this next module developing AI apps with cognitive services. Okay, so this is our agenda. The first one, we're going to start with cognitive services, what we are, and then and so on, and use these cognitive services for enterprise application. So let's talk about this. So getting started with these cognitive services. Well, what are these cognitive services? Well, remember, Azure Cognitive Services are cloud-based services that encapsulate AI capabilities. Remember, you can deploy as a single product or a set of individual services that you can use as building blocks to compose a sophisticated, intelligent application. Remember, cognitive services include a wide range of services across the multiple categories, like language, speech, vision, decision, or anomaly detector. No? Okay, so we're going to see how to provision a cognitive service resource. Let me show you just these slides because I don't want to boring you with just screenshots. So um, I want to talk just about this whole um, well theoretical part, and then I'm going to show you in real time. Okay, so don't worry about the screenshots. I'm going to show you in real time how to create these cognitive services. Well, how can we provision this cognitive service resource? The answer is Azure. Okay, but we have two options. For many of availability cognitive services, not all, a lot of this one, you can choose between the following provisioning options: the multi-service resource or single service resource. Okay, the first one, you can provision the cognitive services that supports multiple different cognitive services. For example, you can create a single resource that enables you to use the language, the computer vision, the speech, and the decision makers, and other services. This approach enables you to manage a single set of access credentials to consume multiple services at a single endpoint and with a single point of billing for usage of all services. Then we have the single service resource. Each cognitive services can be provisioned individually. For example, by creating a discrete language and then a computer vision resource in your Azure subscription. This approach enables you to use separate endpoints for each services, for example, to provision them in a different geographical regions and manage to access credentials for each service independently. It also enables you to manage billing separately for each service. Single service resource generally offer a free tier with some usage restrictions, making them a good choice to try out a service before using in a production application. Okay, give me a sec. Okay. Sorry, I need to to drink a lot of water. Okay. And then we have the training and the prediction resources. While most cognitive services can be used through a single Azure resource, some will require separate resources from a model training and prediction. Um, this enables you to manage billing for training custom modules separately from module consumption by application, and in most cases enables you to use a dedicated service-specific resource to train a module or a generic cognitive services resource to make the module availability to application for inferencing. Okay, so let's see and talk about these keys, the endpoints, and locations. Okay. When you provision a cognitive service resource in your Azure subscription, you are defining an endpoint through which the service can be consumed by an application. In order to consume the service through the endpoint, the application requires the following information: the endpoint, the subscription key, and the location. The very first one, the endpoint URI, this is the HTTP address at which the REST interface for the service can be accessed. Most cognitive service software development kits or these SDKs use the endpoint URI to initiate a connection to the endpoint. Then we need the subscription key. The subscription key will give us access to this endpoint, and this endpoint usually is restricted based on a subscription key. The client application must provide this valid key to consume the service. So then when you provision a cognitive service resource, two keys are created. Application can use either key, so you can also regenerate keys as required to control access to your resource. So then we have the resource location. When you provision a resource in Azure, you generally assign it to a location which determines the Azure data center in which the resource is defined. While most SDKs use the endpoint URI to connect to the service, some require the location. Okay, so let's talk about the REST API. So, cognitive services provide REST application programming interfaces, or also called APIs. These APIs we can use, these APIs client applications can use to consume services. In most cases, service functions can be called by submitting data in JSON format over an HTTP request, which may be a post, a get, or maybe a put request, depending on the specific function being called. The results of the function are returned to the client as an HTTP response, often with JSON contents that encapsulate the output data from the function. So the use of REST interfaces with HTTP endpoint means that any programming language or tool capable of submitting and maybe any JSON over the HTTP, well, can be used to consume cognitive services. So you can you can use these APIs such as Microsoft C Sharp or Python, JavaScript, or use, I don't know, maybe use Curl or Postman, which can be useful for testing. Then we have the another way to use this consume these cognitive services. Give me a sec. I don't know. Okay, yeah. My screen just frozen, but it's okay now. Okay, so we can use the SDK. So you can we can use this develop this application, use the REST interfaces, but it is easier to build more complex solution using the native libraries from the programming languages in which you are developing the application. The SDKs or these software development kits for these languages abstract the REST interfaces from for most cognitive services. Uh, and these SDKs varies by individual cognitive services. Uh, for most services, is an SDK for a language such as C Sharp or this Netcore, Python in Node.js for in the case of JavaScript, Go and Java, and some some services. A little few ones actually are in PHP. So in the case of for PHP, I recommend you to use the REST APIs. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, okay. Once again, why it is taking so long? Give me a sec. I don't know because it is frozen my screen right now. Okay, uh, I think it is good now. Yeah. So let's talk about these cognitive services for the enterprise application. We need to we need to consider a lot of things when we talk about the cognitive services. We need to consider authentication. By default, the access to cognitive services is restricted by using Azure subscription keys, and we need to manage of access of these keys. Is well, the management of these keys is a primary consideration for security. We need to consider regenerate the keys. You're going to see that most of services on Azure creates two keys, two subscription keys. You should regenerate the keys regularly to protect against the risk of keys being shared with or accessed by unauthorized users. So you can regenerate keys by using the visual interface of Azure Portal or using the bash command. It is like AC Cognitive Services key regenerate or something like that. And don't worry, I will show you in a moment. And well, so each cognitive services in most of the resources on Azure is provided with two keys, enabling you to regenerating these keys without service interruption. For example, imagine let's consider this. Someone gets you the primary key, and this person, this unauthorized user, can use your service. So this means you're going to bill a lot because it is using for another person. So what what can we do if we lost this first key? First one, we need to configure all production applications to use the key 2. Then regenerate the key 1, and then we need to switch all production application once again to use the newly regenerated key 1. And then just we need to regenerate key 2, okay? And that's kind of easy. That's the principal reason to have two keys, okay? Just for security. Another recommendation, protect your keys using Azure Key Vault. If you are in this session, it means that you already know what is Azure Key Vault. You see this in the fundamentals. But if you don't know, don't worry. Azure Key Vault is an Azure service which you can securely store secrets like passwords, keys, certificates, and so on. And access to the key vault is granted to security principal, which you can think of like user identities that are authenticated using the Active Directory of the Azure AD. So the administrator can assign a security principal to an application. In this case, like it is known as a service principal. In this case, for the application. In this in this case, it is to define a managed identity for the application, or also known as a service principal. The application can, then use this identity to access the key vault and retrieve a secret to which has access. So controlling access to the secret in this way minimizes the risk of it being compromised by being hard-coded in an application, or maybe saved in a configuration file and an environment file. I don't know. So you can store the subscription key for cognitive services in Azure Key Vault and assign a managed identity to client application that needs to use the service. Okay, so you don't worry about to use this key in the source code. Your application has the access to use this to retrieve the key as needed from the key vault without risk of exposing it to unauthorized users. Sorry. When we use the REST interface, some cognitive services supports the token-based authentication. In these cases, the subscription key is presented in an initial request to obtain an authentication token, which has a valid period of 10 minutes. Subsequent requests must present to the token to validate that the caller has been authenticated. And some cognitive services also support the Azure Active Directory authentication, enabling grant access to specific services principal or manage identities for an apps and services running in Azure. Okay, so let's continue. We can we can monitor the cognitive services using alerts, using some metrics and diagnosis settings and logs using the Azure Monitor. This is a great way to know which user it is using my application, my REST API, and so on. So in this case, the monitor, Azure Monitor, it is a service that enables us to alert. I don't know if we don't have any subscription to use this Azure Cognitive Services, or we are using these cognitive services in an application, in an API, and so on. This is one of the main benefits using the cloud services, that we can gain the cost efficiencies by only paying for services as you use them. So the cognitive services offer us a free tier with restriction on use, which once again it is useful for development and testing. So we need to talk about, or we need to plan cost for cognitive services. Before deploying any solution that depends cognitive services, we can estimate cost by using the Azure pricing calculator, and then we can monitor this with Azure Monitor. Okay, so we need to create alerts in this case for in order to get the alerts. Okay, so Microsoft Azure provides alerting support for these resources through the creation of alert rules. These alert rules we can use to configure notification and alerts for our resources or most resources in Azure. In the case of any events or metric thresholds, these alerts will ensure that the correct team knows when a problem arises. Okay, in order to create a rule in a cognitive services, well, just we need to select the resource in the Azure portal, and then the alerts tab, and I'll add the new alert rule. So don't worry, we are going to see this later. Okay. Then we need to see the metrics. Now, so once again, Azure Monitor, it is a service. It is a magnificent, is awesome service. This Azure Monitor collects metrics from Azure resources at regular intervals, so that you can track indicators of resource utilization, health, and performance. The specific metrics depend on the Azure resource. In the case of cognitive services, Azure Monitor collects metrics relating to the endpoint requests, data submitted, and return errors, and other useful measurements. Then we have the managed diagnostic login, or this is a enable us to capture operational data for a cognitive service resource, which can be used for analyze service usage and troubleshoot problems. Okay, so let's talk now about the Azure services and the containers. Okay. Uh, Many of you already know what is a container, but if you know, well, the containers enable us to host these Azure Cognitive Services either on premises or on Azure. For example, if our application use sensitive data on a premises SQL server to call cognitive services, we can deploy the cognitive services in a container on the same network. So now our data can stay on our local network and not be passed to the cloud. And deploying these cognitive services in a container on premises will also decrease the latency between the service and our local data, which can improve the performance. So let's consider that. So when we deploy a software service, it must be hosted in an environment that provides the hardware, operating system, and the supporting runtime components on which the service depends. So the Azure Cognitive Services, sorry, is provided as a cloud service, in which the service software is hosted in Azure data center that provides the underlying runtime services, operating system, and hardware. And once again, however, if you want to, if you can want, or you can also deploy these cognitive services in a container. And once again, this will going to encapsulate the necessary runtime components, and which is in turn deployed in a container host that provides the underlying operating system and hardware. It is not needed if you don't want it. If you want to go just using the REST APIs or the SDK, you can use it. So don't worry. It is another way to use these cognitive services. Uh, the container, you can use a Docker server, an Azure Container Instances, or an Azure Kubernetes Service. Okay. So once again, let's see the module review, and let's see the very first one. How are client applications typically granted access to a cognitive service endpoint? This is a tricky one, right? I will give you a couple of seconds. And let's see. So the first one, the application must specify a valid subscription key for the Azure resource. Remember, each resource on Azure gives you the Azure keys. These keys provides you access to the resource. So the next one, you want to keep track on how often subscription keys for your cognitive services resource are retrieved. What should you do? We talked about this like 2 slides ago. Remember, monitor something. So in this one, it is kind of easy because it is talking about tracking, right? So we don't need to regenerate any keys. We don't need to store the keys in the actual keyboard. So the correct one is the second one, the B, create an alert for your cognitive service resource. And the next one, you plan to use a cognitive services container in a local Docker host. Which of the following it is true? This is a tricky one, but the correct answer is C. The container must be able to connect to the Azure Resource Endpoint to send usage data for billing. Remember, the Azure will bill everything. Okay. So the first one, no, because it is in a local network. Just we don't need the subscription key. Uh, and the second one, well, the data passed from the client application to the container is forwarded to the Azure resource endpoint. It is also false because remember, if you want to have in your local network, you use the containers. The container, yeah, it will send some data to the Azure, but just for billing. Okay. Okay, guys. So we already finished this module. We are going to see the next one, and then we are going to see some demos. And so don't worry. Okay, guys. Okay. So once again, let me close this slide and give me a sec. I'm going to open the next one. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Where is it? Right here. Okay. Okay. It is right here. We're going to talk about this next module, and then we're going to see the demo. So don't worry, guys. Okay, so let's start. Getting started with natural language processing. we're going to see the analyzing text and the translating text. Okay. Well, the very first one, the language services. The language service is designed to help us to extract information from text. It provides a functionality that you can use for language detection, the key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis, the name entity recognition, or the entity linking. The first one, language detection, well, is for determining the language in which text is written. The next one, key phrase extraction, it is for identifying important words and phrases in the text that indicate the main points of the document. The sentiment analysis, quantifying how positive or negative the text is. We're going to see a demo about this using Twitter, don't worry. And the name entity recognition and the entity linking. The first one is detecting references to entities, including people, location, time periods, or any organizations. And the entity linking, it is for identifying specific entities by providing references, links to Wikipedia articles. In order to use this text analytics Azure resource, we need to provision a resource for it in our Azure subscription. We can use once again, the single service language resource, or we can use the multi-service cognitive service resource. After that, we need to use just a subscription key to call the language APIs. In the case it is in the cloud, or if you are going to use it in your local Docker server, you can use it as on demand. Okay. Okay. Detect language. The language detection API evaluates the text input and for each document returns the language identifiers with a score indicating the strength of the analysis. The language services recognizes up to 120 languages. This capability is useful for content stores that collect arbitrary text or language is unknown. Another scenario could involve a chatbot. If users start a session with the chatbot, language detection can be used to determine which language they are using and allows you to configure your bot responses in the appropriate language. You can parse these results of this analysis to determine which language is used in the input document, and the response also returns a score, which reflects the confidence of the module. The value is going always from 0 and 1. The language detection, sorry, language detection can work with documents or single phrases. It is important to note that the document size must be under 5,120 characters. The size limit is per document, and each collection is restricted to 10,000 items. Let me write it in the slide. Give me a sec, just for keep it in mind. Okay, give me a sec. Right, let's see, guys. I'm going to connect real quick to the tablet. Okay, and I'm going to write it right here. Okay, remember, document it needs to be under 5. Sorry, my my letter. Okay, 5,102 characters, and for each collection, it needs to be 1,000 items or IDs. Okay. And we have right here like a document, a payload from a JSON payload. Remember, these services using JSON. In this case, we have a document. In this case, we have the document in the very first line. Give me a sec. I'm going to show you with the laser point. The document, this is optional. If we want to uh, if you provide this country hit to improve the prediction performance, but it is not required. The text, the string to be analyzed, it is our output. The detect language, the ISO name, the confidence score, remember, from 0 to 1. Okay. And we have the IDs, remember, 1000 IDs. Okay, so let's see the key extraction. In this case, the key phrase extraction is the process of evaluating the text of a document or many documents and identifying the main points around the context of the documents. The key phrase extraction works best for larger documents. And once again, the maximum size that can be analyzed is 5,120 characters. As with language detection, the REST interface enables you to submit one or more documents for analysis. Okay, and we have the right here the payloads. Well, the in the left one the payload, and in the right side we have the response. Okay, the key phrases we have right here. For example, in this case we have, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And the second one, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And in our response, we have the key phrases. From the very first ID in the document one, the key phrases, it is change and world. And the second one, sorry, it is miles, single step, and journey. Okay. The next one, analyze sentiment. This is my favorite one. Sentiment analysis, it is used to evaluate how positive or negative a text document is, which can be useful in various workloads, such as, I don't know, evaluating a movie, a bug, or a product by quantifying sentiment based on reviews. Prioritizing customer service response to correspondence is received through email or social media messaging. And once again, when we use these language services to evaluate sentiment, response includes overall document sentiment and individual sentence sentiment for each document submitted to the service. For example, in this case, we have we have a single document or a sentiment analysis like this. In this case, we have the text. In this case, it is smile, life is good. We need to send the language, and our response is like this. I'm going to zoom right here, okay? And we have the document, okay? The ID, it says it is positive, and the confidence score, okay? We have the 99% confidence that it is positive, and we have the sentence. The text is smile, in well, most of the cases it's a good thing, right? Why I'm saying this? It is in most cases because maybe you're you're I don't know, going to see the new movie at the theater called Smile, and I don't know if it is a positive sentiment to see a person like this, because I think it is like a demon or something in this movie. So In this case, it is positive, okay? Don't think about this movie, but it is a positive sentiment, okay? A smile. And the next one, text is good. Well, it is 97% is positive. It's a good positive, okay? Okay. Overall, the document sentiment is based on sentences. If all sentences are neutral, the overall sentiment will be neutral. If a sentence, if a sentence classification includes only positive and neutral, the overall sentiment will be positive. Now, if the sentence classification includes only negative and neutral, the overall sentiment is negative. The next one it is if the sentence classification includes positive and negative, the overall sentiment is mixed. Okay, let's continue. Name entity recognition. We can, this name entity recognition identifies entities that are mentioned in the text. These entities are grouped into categories and subcategories. For example, we have the person, location, date, time, organization, address, email, and URL. So we can take a look. Let me give me a sec. I'm going to show you a link right here. It is right here. Okay. Here we have the whole categories: category person, person type, location, subcategories, organization. Okay, it is a lot of categories we have. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to send to my partner right here. And please, Fernando, if you want, if you could, if you can send this link to the attendees, I will appreciate it. Okay, so let's continue. And now we have the entity linking. Well, in some cases, the same name might be applicable to more than one entity. For example, just an instance of the word Venus, or what this Venus refer to the planet or the Greek goddess. Well, entity linking can be used to disambiguate these entities of the same name by referencing an article in a knowledge base. In this case, Wikipedia provides the knowledge base for a text analytics service. Specific article links are determined based on entity context within a text. For example, uh, let's think about this. I saw Venus shining in the sky is associated with this link. Give me a sec. I have this link already open. Okay, so it is associated with this link. So I saw Venus shining in the sky. Okay, it is open this link. But what happens? Sorry, I'm going to. What is happening? My computer, it is kind of frozen now. Okay, sorry. But if we say, oh, well, if we write Venus, the goddess of beauty, well, this one will associate with the next one, this one, Venus mythology. Okay, great. Yes. As with all language service function, you can submit one or more documents for this analysis. In which case, we need to use the IDs. Okay. Okay. So next, let's continue. Well, let's continue and let's talk about the translator resource. Well, these translator services. The translator services provides a multilingual text translation API that we can use for language detection or one-to-many translation or something called script transliteration. What it is? What is this transliteration? Well, it is converting text from its native script to an alternate script. Okay. In this case, for example, right here, we have the detect language. We have the language detection. In this case, it's Japanese. The translation will be, well, one-to-many translation will be in English, hello, in French, bonjour. And we have the transliteration. We have the native script right here and the transliteration konnichiwa. Okay, great guys. And remember, you can use this as a standalone translator resource, a single service, or a multi-service. So let's continue. Okay, and here we have these responses. Okay, you can use the detect res function to detect the language in which text is written. In this case, in this example, we can submit the following request, the text, and the response to this request looks like this, indicating that the text it is written in Japanese. We have the translation. The translation to translate a text from one language to another, we use the translate function, specifying a single form parameter to indicate the source language and one or more two parameters to specify the language into which you want the text will be translated. For example, in this case, you could submit the same JSON we previously used right here to detect the language. In this case, specifying from a parameter from Japanese and two parameters with the values in English. In this case, we have from Japanese to English and to French. And we have our response. And then, once again, we have the transliteration. Our Japanese text is written using something called Hiragana script. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this well. So rather than translate it into a different language, you may want to transliterate into different script. For example, to render the text in Latin script, then is commonly used by English language text or Spanish or, well, America. Yeah. To accomplish this, we can submit the Japanese text to the transliterate function right here. Okay, so we have language from script Japanese into script Latin, and we have this response. Pretty cool, huh? So let's see the next one, the translation. Well, these options, we have a lot of parameters that can affect the output. The word alignment, the sentence length, or the profanity filtering. The word alignment in written English using the Latin script spaces are used to separate words. However, In some other languages, well, specifically talking about scripts, this is not always the case. For example, in this case, we have uh, the example for translating cognitive services, the text cognitive services from English to simplified Chinese. And this produced the result. Well, this result, I don't know how to pronounce, so I don't know how to pronounce this word, okay? But in this case, it is difficult to understand the relationship between the characters in the resource, in the source text, sorry, and the corresponding characters in the translation. To solve this problem, we can specify something called include alignment parameter with a value of the true to produce the following result. You just need to include this, and we have the alignment, okay? This result tells us that characters from 0 to 8 in the source correspond to characters to the 0 to 1 in translation, while characters 10 to 17 in the source correspond to characters 2 to 3 in the translation. Okay? Okay, once again, characters from 0 to 8. Okay, we need to, well, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cognitive, it corresponds to 0 to 1. 0, 1. And then from 10 to 17 services correspond to the charts 2 to 3. Okay. Well, then we have the sentence length. Sometimes it might be useful to know the length of the translation. For example, to determine how best to display in a user interface. You can well, we can use this or get this information by setting something called the well, this parameter uh, include sentence length to true. In this example, specifying this parameter when translating the English text hello world to French produces the following result. Okay, source is from 12 characters and the translation will be the 20 characters. The text is hello world and we have the text alert to the model. Okay, and then we have the profanity filtering. Sometimes the text, well, contains profanities, which you might want to obscure or maybe omit altogether in a translation. You can handle profanities by specifying the profanity action parameter, which can have one of the following values. We can mark as no action, deleted, or marked. No actions? Well, profanities are translated along with the text, the rest of the text. Okay? Profanities, in this case of deleted, profanities are omitted in the translation, and we can use the marked option. In this case, are indicated using this technique, indicate that the profanity marked the default value it is an asterisk, which replaces the characters with an asterisk. Okay. In this case, we have the next text. Jason is something great. Okay, and the translation in French, well, Jason is something genial. Okay, so we can use this for bad words, and you know, if you want to have a I don't know, a translation for family friendly, You can use the profanity filtering. And we have, I mean, well, these two custom translation. Well, the default translation model uses the translation services is effective for general translation. Maybe we need to develop a translation solution for business or industries in that specific vocabularies of terms that require custom translation. To solve this problem, we can use a custom model that maps our own set of source and target terms for translation. To create a custom model, we can use the custom translator portal. And we are going to, the very first one thing is the first step is create a workspace linked to your translator resource. Then create the project. Then upload the training data files, and then train the module. And then our custom model is assigned an unique category ID, which you can specify in translate calls to our translator resource by using the category parameter, causing the translation to be performed by your custom module instead the default module. Okay? Okay, so let's see the module review, and after that we are going to see some demos. Okay? Okay, let's see the very first one. How should you create an application that monitors the content on your company's website and flags in any indication that customers are unhappy? Think about this, guys. How can we use cognitive services? How should you create this application? I will give you a couple of seconds. Think about it. Okay, let's see the answer. Well, the answer will be use the language services to perform sentiment analysis of the document. That's correct. Let's see the next one. Okay, you have analyzed text that contains the word Paris. How might you determine if this word refers to the French city or the character in the Homer's The Iliad? Okay, once again, the answer it is use the language services to extract linked entities. Remember, this will be linked to Wikipedia article. Okay, and the last one. What function of the translator service should you use to convert the Russian word spasibo in Cyrillic characters to spasibo in Latin characters? Couple of seconds, and once again, the answer is C, transliterate. Okay, guys, good work. Okay, we already finished the modules, the theoretical part, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how can you create these cognitive services? How can you use? In this case, I'm going to create the cognitive services. I'm going to show you how to create it and how can you use, in this case, using Twitter. It is a kind of funny and interesting demo because you're going to monitor the whole Twitter to detect some hashtags, some text, in order to, I don't know, see if something it is talking about goods, it is I don't know, a product or maybe some political person. I don't know. Well, we're going to see this option, okay? So give me a sec. I'm going to change my screen real quick, and I'm going to start my screen share with another monitor. Just give me a sec, guys. I'm going to show you. If you don't see anything, don't worry. I'm going to change just my screen, and it is right here. And any moment now, you're going to see my screen. Check. Any moment now. And okay. Now. Okay. So now we are going to, in this case, we're going to create our cognitive services. How are we going to create this one, these services? Well, first we need to have a subscription, right? An Azure account and a subscription. I already have my subscription. Okay, my create remaining. I have my subscription right here, and just need to create a resource. So let's click on create a resource, and in this case, I'm going to look for cognitive services. Okay, it is loading right now. Okay, right here we have the cognitive services. Let me create these cognitive services. Okay, it is taking too long. What is happening? Okay, so first I need to set my subscription. In this case is this one, my resource group. I don't have anyone, so I'm going to create a resource group for this Cloud Week. In this case, we call a 102 resource group. Okay, the region will be East US, and the name will be, once again, AI 102 Cognitive Services. Right, right in here. In this case, remember, I'm I'm creating a multi-tier service. Remember, in this case, I need to select a standard pricing tier. Okay, just the terms below. Yeah, then click on review and create. Let's wait a couple of seconds here, guys. Don't worry, this don't. Okay, I have validation error. Let me take a look. Okay, this is important. It says AI 102 CS is already used. Pick a different name. Why I'm getting this error? This error it is because this is globally unique. Okay, so I'm going to put my name AI 102 CS Leo R. Let's see. Is okay. validation passed. Let's click on create, and let's wait a couple of seconds here, guys. Okay, deployment is in progress, and we already have this our resource. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Remember, this multi-container service, it is we have a lot of cognitive services, the decision, language, the speech service, the vision, the metrics advisor, the form recognizer, and so on. We have the keys and endpoints. Remember, these keys is for in order to use the service. And if you can take a look in the endpoint right here, let me make a zoom right here. Right here, we have our resource name. This is the reason of this resource or this name. It should be global unique because we are going to use this endpoint. Okay. I'm going to leave this tab open because, well, okay, you say, okay, Leo, you already have your cognitive services, but how can I use it? Okay, remember, I need to use my keys, my endpoint, and so on. Well, if you want, you can create your alerts right here, but don't worry about this, okay? Let's focus on these keys and endpoints. I will leave this tab open and I will open another one, portal.azure.com. And now I'm going to create another resource. In this case, it is not needed. It is just needed for this demo. So don't worry, guys. In this case, I'm going to use the Logic Apps. Logic Apps, it is a awesome resource in order to create enterprises application, monitoring, automate tasks, uh, whatever you like. Okay. In this case, I want to monitor Twitter. In this case, I'm going to use Logic App. So click on Logic App. I'm going to create Logic App. This also going to take a couple of seconds in order to create the resource. Don't worry. Okay, once again, my subscription, resource group. In this case, I'm going to select the AI 102 resource group. Logic App name. Once again, remember, guys, globally unique. Okay, in this case, but it will be like my AI 102 Logic App. Let's see. Okay, it is available. We can publish as a workflow or a Docker container. In my case, in this particular case, I want a workflow. The region, in this case, is US. Why is US? It is just a tip for you guys. Is US? It is cheaper than another regions. Okay. The plan type, standard or consumption. In my case, I want consumption because I don't want to think about the virtual machines, the app service plan, and so on. In this case, I'm telling to Azure, okay, Azure, take care about everything. Okay, I don't want to worry about the size of the machine learning, the virtual machine. Take care about everything. Okay, some redundancy. I don't need it. So let's click on review and create. Click on create. Okay. And okay, our deployment is already deployed. Well, our resource. So let's open our Logic app. This logic app, we're going to have a lot of triggers, a lot of actions. Trigger is, okay, right here, common trigger. When a message is received, when HTTP request is received, we have a lot of triggers right here and a lot of templates. But in my case, I want to trigger this logic app when a new tweet is posted. I'm going to select this one. So I need to connect Twitter. So I'm going to click on sign in. In my case, my tweet connection, authentication type, use default chat application. I'm going to sign in. Don't worry, it is right here my window. I'm going to put my credentials. Give me a couple of seconds. I'm going to log in my Twitter. Okay. Give me a sec, guys. Okay. And now my authentication code. Give me a sec. Where is my authentication code? It is right here. In Okay. And any moment now, this will be marked as connect. Okay, it is already connected. Okay, well, now I have my Twitter. Okay, so now we're going to monitor whole Twitter. Okay, I want to monitor in this case. Okay, I want to monitor Microsoft, the hashtag Microsoft. Uh, every 10 seconds. Okay, and now, okay, what what next? Okay, now I want to use cognitive services. Going to look for cognitive services, specifically talking about language service. So, okay, right here, Azure Cognitive Service for language, and let's look for sentiment right here. Connection name, my cognitive services connection. Uh, Authentication type, in this case, AP key. Okay, so account key, we need to copy one of these keys. In this case, I'm going to copy the key one. I'm going to paste right here. I have my key. And the site URL, in this case, my endpoint. Copy, paste, create. And that's all. Okay, documents ID. My ID, it is tweeted by, because I wanna see the name of the user, and the text to be analyzed, in this case tweet text. And that's all, guys. So let's save it. Let's click on run. And if any of one of you guys have Twitter, you can post anything with the hashtag Microsoft, and this will check the whole Twitter in order to look if anything comes up. Okay, successfully check the trigger. Let me take a look if we have any result. Okay, not yet, no runs. Don't worry, I'm going to tweet something. Yeah, say, guys. Okay, nobody's talking about microphones. It is kind of funny, right? Let me click something. Okay, we already checked some tweet. Let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look. So I don't know if it's my tweet. I know it is not. So we have the tweet text Azure Databricks private link. Okay, Microsoft, and we're going to see the sentiment. This is the tweet. Okay, and let's take a look about the sentiment. The sentiment is neutral because uh, let's take a look at this text. It is nothing about it's not nothing good, nothing bad. So it is remember if everything is neutral, well, the result will be neutral. I already tweet something. Let me take a look. Uh, I don't know why it is not showing up anything. Let's take, I don't know. Mm, okay, I'm going to edit this and I'm going to take a look for something trending right here. For example, we can take a look about Checo Perez or the F1. Let's take a look at the trending. Okay. Trending Verstappen. Okay. Okay. F1. Let's take a look. Something comes up. Just doing that. Click on save. Run trigger and run again. And let's see if anyone is talking about this right now. Maybe it is kind of late right now because okay, someone just tweet something about the F1. Okay, retweet from F1 data analysis. Did per crash on purpose in Monaco? Okay, let's see what is talking about. Okay, so let's take a look. It says that the user man163 is talking something negative. Let's look about this. So it is kind of useful. Okay, it's man163. So at man163, this one, this this guy. Okay, okay. And if you can see right now, this is the last tweet, and we are ready retrieved. Okay, so let's take a look. It says, "Did Per crash on purpose in Monaco? He either crashed on purpose, his foot slip on the roll pedal, and his roll signal doesn't make sense. He went to 100% roll in just a couple of tenths. This is entirely different from the previous lap and all the Brett Corners, hashtag Perez, hashtag F1. What do you think about these guys? I don't know if you like to look the F1, this past Brazil Grand Prix. It was kind of awesome, but we already get some tweet and it is actually negative. What it's talking about? It is talking about a crash. Okay, okay, guys, how cool is that, guys? We can monitor the Twitter to check about I don't know a product, a service from our company, and just a couple of minutes. How cool is that, guys? Okay. Okay, guys, our time it is already finished. I already ended. So uh, I'm going to see you in the next session in the labs is the Q&A session. Remember, in the next session we're going to see everything about the laboratories, and you can ask anything in that session. So I hope you enjoyed this session, guys, in the demo about the cognitive services, the F1. I'm talking about the Max Verstappen or Check Perez. Okay, guys. Okay, see you in the next session, and thank you very much.